All right, so what have we learned? Don't go to Megalomart. You tap and die.
Walmart.
Or trust Christian with your Okay, so national pipe thread, talking about that, uses a taper thread. So it does not go into the hose fitting. Please don't do that. Let's see, where are we at here? Point number 2. Under something, I don't know why. Why? Oh, tap and die. Now we're going to talk about this for some reason. Not just okay, modern aircraft. Modern aircraft. Hardware is UNF or UNC or UPT. Fine, coarse, or pipe. There we go. Okay. This applies to both metric and standard. Standard threads. All right, our thread size. Wait, PK, you had a question. What was your?
So you gotta, like, you can easily measure the thread size on a bolt, right?
Sure.
Like,
Measure thread size on a bolt.
Yeah, like on the nut.
On a nut.
Yeah, like if you want to measure it, do you like first to measure the diameter and then like make it, like either go for a 20 or a 28? And like
Okay. So I will tell you that measuring the inside of a nut is difficult. Especially if you're trying to measure the diameter, because really you have to get inside the threads, and it's the inside portion of the threads, not the outside portion. So to get a tool up inside there into the threads becomes very difficult. This is going to lead me to a point here in just a second, which I will repeat myself continuously. However, inside of the Genuine Aircraft Hardware book, on one of the first few pages where it gets into data, they have a nice little sheet that says, if a wrench fits on this size bolt, therefore it must be this, and that's helpful. So you could take a look and you could say, oh, look, my 7/16 inch wrench fits on this nut, therefore this nut is a 1/4 inch nut, because aircraft hardware is so standardized. So you can say, okay, that's one way to measure it. Now I know it's a 1/4 inch nut, now I can measure the threads. It's either a 1/4 inch 20 or 1/4 inch 28.
yeah, but like even when I measure that, right, my pitch gauge, like
Yeah.
when I put it in, it's very hard. Like
It's hard to do. That's why I can show you in lab, but I just use a chart that tells me which wrench size corresponds to what bolt size, and it's much easier.
Because the wrench size is not the bolt size.
Which I'm going to say again.
Kevin, like even let's say it's a 1/4 inch bolt, right?
Yeah.
You can have a 20 or a 28.
28. Yeah.
So for you to confirm whether it's a 20 or a 28, you have to put the pitch gauge in and do it, right?
Yep. You can kind of look,
Yeah,
or you could cheat. You can do it. You could get a bolt, check the threads of the bolt, and see if it screws on with your fingers. Because if you use a wrench, anything will fit.
Yeah.
might not look the best when it
And
comes off,
oil.
but it'll fit.
Thread size. Threads are classified by threads by chiclets. What did you say? Classified by diameter and threads per inch. And threads per inch. Threads per inch. Which is also TPI, threads per inch. Threads per inch. A common aircraft. This would be an example. Bolt is a quarter diameter by 28 threads per inch. So is that a coarse or fine?
Fine.
How do you know it's fine? How do I know that?
Look at your chart.
Okay, look at my chart.
It
Just got to find that chart. So if I don't know, I just said it's quarter, right? Well, it's either quarter 28 or it's quarter 20. And I said it was 28. So it's 28, therefore it's a fine thread. That's a fine thread there. So this is U and F thread. And note that the first number, which was the quarter inch, is the OD. What does OD mean? Outside diameter. And if you can only remember one thing from the entire year that you've been with me, please remember this.
And the wrench that was not both.
I was just about to say
Size. Oh, I gotta spell. Make sure I spell
I like that, Christian.
The whole page actually.
it. Is not.
Yellow paper.
Is not. Let me say not. Not the what?
bolt size.
Bolt size.
I think we had that as a question on 309.
I probably will have it again, and I will say it again. But yet somehow we're going to get to engines, and somebody is going to take a 1/2-inch socket, put it on something, call it a 1/2-inch bolt, and rip it apart.
What are you
So-
looking at me for?
Why do you think I wasn't, but why do you suddenly feel like I was looking at you? Do you feel guilty about something?
He fucked the mag up for everybody.
You want to go with last time?
Right on camera.
Yep.
So, on that one, this is like for 1/4 diameter, it's 28 threads per inch.
Yep.
So if the bolt length is, say, 2 inches,
Yeah.
will it always be exactly 56 threads then, or will it? Because like I was looking.
No, not at all. Because aircraft hardware is different than when you go to the hardware store and buy something around the house. You may get a 2-inch bolt that has threads all the way up underneath the head. You may get a 2-inch bolt that only has 1 inch worth of threads. Aircraft hardware is designed so that the threads will accommodate 1 to 4 washers and the proper nut. That is it. Always, all the time, unless it's some special manufactured bolt. But the wrench size is not the bolt size. What do I mean by that? Just in case you haven't been here.
1/2-inch wrench is not 1/2-inch bolt.
Let's just take this quarter 28 bolt right here. What size wrench does a quarter 28 bolt take?
7/16.
Quarter inch.
All right, pen. Quarter. So we're gonna look at this. This quarter 28. Quarter 28 takes what size wrench?
7/16.
Okay, it takes a 7. How do I know that?
Did you grab 7/16?
It's just experience, all right? So it takes a 7/16 wrench. So this quarter 28 bolt should be torqued somewhere between 50 to 70 inch-pounds with a maximum of 100. So what that means is if I have an AN 310 nut, which is a thick castellated nut, and I need to line up the cotter pin, first I will torque it to 50 inch-pounds and see if one of the cotter pin holes lined up. If it doesn't, what's the most I can go up to?
100.
I can set my torque wrench and go up to 100 and see if it lines up. If it doesn't line up, I
Take it off.
take it off, try a different washer, try a different bolt, something like that. But so we know that 50 to 70 with a max of 100. But because you have a 7/16 inch wrench in your hand and you haven't heard anything that I've said, you think that the wrench size is the bolt size. So, oh, what size is the bolt then?
7/16.
Oh, it must be 7/16. Well, what's my torque for 7/16? Well, and I'm going to be a great mechanic and always go to the maximum because I want everything to be as tight as I can. Therefore, you're going to hit 840 inch-pounds on this poor little bolt that was supposed to be right about 60.
You'll break the bolt before you even get to it.
Yeah.
Yes, you will break the bolt, but
Inside.
70 pounds.
This is the one for Lycoming engines. It's got a 5/16 inch bolt in it, but a 5/16 takes a 1/2 inch socket. So this poor little 5/16 inch bolt, for example, is supposed to be torqued at, we'll just say around 200 inch-pounds max or 225, and you go, oh, well, it's a 1/2 inch. So you just went from 225 to 1100.
Jesus.
But that's okay because you're a really smart mechanic. It's somewhere at about 500 or 600 inch-pounds you realize, ooh, I made a
It's not
mistake.
tightening up anymore.
I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that because it's really just, I know what I'll do. I'll back it off and then
No.
just torque it to the right one. What's wrong with that?
That bolt is stretched as all.
Yeah.
Oh, that bolt is stretched and neck down and ready to snap off, and you're just about ready to hurt somebody
Make
real
sure it's
bad.
in
So
inch pounds,
jail
not
time.
foot pounds.
Oh yeah, make sure it's in inch pounds and not foot pounds. That's another one. Okay,
Yeah, inch pounds. That's all.
that's a whole nother lecture. All right, so but the wrench size is not the bolt size. Can never say that too often, apparently.
What do you say?
All right. Oops. Let's just do this right. Use a ruler. I find it really hard to use a ruler to measure a bolt. It just doesn't work for me. What's a better
Dial indicator.
That handy.
dial indicator, dial caliper, call it what you want,
Then,
or micrometer. Micrometer seems a little bit like an overkill. That's why I like a dial indicator or a vernier calipers. So dial caliper, dial indicators.
Or you
whatever.
just use that handy dandy plastic chart that your bolt guy brings.
Okay, glad you brought that up. To measure the OD. Okay, there are such things as bolt gauges, and it is, I don't even think I have a picture of it. I want to look through. So basically, what you have is like a profile view. It's going to look like that with a little slot cut in it. So you put the bolt up in here, and it hangs down so far. And then if I turn it and look at it, it's got a scale. And you just sort of look and see, well, how far did the bolt go down? Well, if the bolt went down to here, then you read where the scale is. Those are not very trustworthy. They can often give you the wrong reading. I've just found out. In fact, I kind of taken most of them and sort of hid them because they were so wrong. Everybody's getting the wrong answers for them. It'll also have holes in them, and so you can just see which hole the bolt goes in. I like it for that. But anyway, just make sure that it's reading correctly if you grab one of these things.
How do you make sure?
How do you make sure? First, you know what size bolt you have, then you put it in there and make sure that it reads correctly. That's exactly how you do it.
So it's not a problem solved.
But what if you do that and then it's still wrong?
don't worry about that.
And I don't know. Okay. And then,
Add a washer.
so use a ruler, dial caliper, or something. Also, I'm gonna hate myself for saying this. If I have a bolt and I think that it might be a 7/16 inch bolt, might be a 7/16 inch bolt. What size wrench fits on the head? Somebody said just not 7/16, please.
Not 7/16.
What size is the shank?
Not 7/16.
The shank is 7/16.
Oh,
What do you have in your toolbox that is 7/16 inch wide?
nothing.
Socket.
Hopefully it runs.
A wrench. Your wrenches act like a set of calibrated. So if you want to see if something's a 1/2 inch
Take
wide,
your
grab a
wrench
1/2
and-
inch, and if
yeah.
it goes on, hey, look, it's a 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
You want to see? So you can actually use wrenches on the shank. Okay, but the wrench size is not the bolt size. So the wrench size that fits on the head is not. But you can use them down on the shank just to measure.
Yeah.
If you didn't understand that, please just pretend like I said nothing there. Right. Use a thread pitch gauge. Thread pitch. Thread pitch to measure. Oops, to measure what?
The thread. Pitch of the thread.
Yeah.
Threads.
To measure thread pitch. All right, we also have class fit. All right, so we're gonna go to aircraft. Aircraft bolts have 4 classes of fit. I will tell this according to Fastenal. That's a company that makes bolts.
Super expensive.
Fastenal.
Class two?
There are 6 classes. And they give 1 A and B, 2 A and B, 3, you see the pattern? 3 A and B. A is external and B is internal threads, so they give 6. But we're going to go back to our 4 for aircraft. So, class 1. Defined as a very loose fit that can be turned easily by hand. I read something somewhere that class 1, also called like stovepipe bolts and stuff like that, but I had read that the idea behind a class 1 fit, I don't know how true this is, so I won't write it, was that when people working on tanks during the war, if you dropped a bolt into the mud, you could pick it up and still shove it in. There was enough room for the threads and the dirt and everything, and it would still work. Any truth to that, you think?
Yeah, I think that could be true.
Huh? So that was your class 1. Class 2,
IKEA.
IKEA bolts. Class 2. I've worked on Volvos. They're not that bad. A free fit, which means less slop than a class 1. Aircraft screws are generally a class 2. All right, then class 3. A quote medium fit. A medium fit. You should be able to assemble by hand, assuming that it is not a lock nut of some sort, by hand with little or no movement. With little or no movement. So let me ask you this, you guys who are out there making your class 1, 2, and 3 fits with your aluminum rods. How many of you went up to the tool room and asked for a bolt and nut and checked to see what a class 3 fit really felt like?
Nope.
It's quite a bit of slop, isn't there?
Yep.
Yeah. It's more than you would think. So, aircraft bolts are generally class 3. Class 3. And that brings us to class 4. Do you need me to go back the other way, Janet?
Yeah.
I could tell by your frustration there.
You're doing so fast.
How far?
That should be good.
That'd be good? Yeah. All right. Slow down a little bit here. Class 4. What is a class 4? A close fit. Close fit. A wrench is required to assemble. Required to assemble. Can I go up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. That far?
Yeah.
I can't think of too many class 4s per se. If you cross thread something, what does that mean?
That's a class 4.
That's class 4.
That's just a lock bolt.
So when you cross thread something, that means you done messed up.
And you need a Healy coil.
Yeah. A couple of rules that I learned, because I got my start as a mechanic in the auto body industry, and my dad is somewhat of a genius at this stuff, but he taught me how to work on cars. And like when you're putting on a fender or a part or anything, the rule was always, you'd think that you'd start with the row of bolts and you put the bolt in, tighten it up, go to the next one, tighten it up, but you never do that. You always put them all in,
Enough of time.
then tighten them all. Now, that's great advice, and when you're working on a car, you will regret it if you don't take that advice. The thing about with aircraft is you have to be so very careful to make sure that you don't miss one. But the rule still applies. When I'm building engines and stuff, I think about even things that aren't torque sensitive, like a rocker box cover. You think, I'll get away with it, and you put the rocker box cover on the end of the cylinder, and so you put one screw in, you're like, I'll just tighten it while I'm here, and then you get to the next, and you get the next, and you get around to the last one, you're like, it's a half a hole off. So you got to undo them all, then twist a little bit, put them back in. So, rules to live by is, one, start all of the bolts, start them by hand, don't start them with the wrench because you can cross thread it, and then make sure that you go back, and I counted everything. Every time I would go to the put on a rocker box cover. Okay, take 6 screws. I count out 6 screws, 6 washers, 6 nuts, or I'd assemble them all, make sure I had them all in my hand, count them, walk over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then torque them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Count it all, constantly counting every time I do it. And if you get interrupted, what are you supposed to do? Start over or go back 2 more steps. So, it's an R. Make sure that you start them by hand. What if you're starting it by hand and it gets a little tight? Now you got still a long way to go. And it's a little tight.
That should be good. Well, it depends on that.
It depends on the fit.
I mean, if there's a little burr.
Yeah.
A little burr, what do you do?
Back it off.
You just put a little wrench on, right?
No.
Okay, so I was in final assembly for a Lycoming engine. And, we're talking boss coming in every hour asking if it's almost done, telling the customer it's already done. It's like, because, payday's coming up and that engine represents an income of $20,000. And so final assembly, almost done. I need to put the, never forget this, of course. I had to put the oil pressure relief valve on, which is 1.125" thread, if I'm not mistaken. Very big thread. It's aluminum cap, so you put the spring in, you put the ball on, and put it together, and turn it by hand, and then you just do a final torque and safety. Real easy. So I'm screwing it on a stub, that much thread showing. Kind of locked up on me. Thought, well, it must be just a little burr. So do what anybody would do. Take a wrench and put it on there. I move about that far. Oh, that's not good at all. We better pull it back out. It didn't come out.
Aluminum gold.
Aluminum galled. It welded itself right then and there. So,
It's not going to leak. It'll be fine.
I know, just not much thread showing, right? No, yeah, just label it. So, I tell you that to tell you don't ever screw aluminum onto aluminum dry. Ever, never, never. It should always have some sort of lubricant, NIC, something on it. So, yeah, that particular engine, what I had to do is fight that thing to get it out. And then once it was out, then I got to clean up 1.125" threads on the inside of our pre-assembled engines. I had to pack it full of. On engines, I use that's life. Sometimes you're going to have to be working on engines that are kind of assembled. Beeswax. I used a lot of beeswax instead of cutting oil. Beeswax is my go-to because it collects all the debris and contain it. So beeswax it up. Had to go buy a bottoming tap, clean it out, and luckily I saved it. Otherwise, that's okay. You just need to buy a new what? Engine case.
Oh my God.
Which is paramount to buying
Nah, you actually send it out and have it somebody who's certified repair station who would specialize in that. They would weld it shut, cut it.
Yeah,
But you had to rebuild. You had to
What
take the whole engine apart and rebuild it again.
other materials go?
Huh?
What other materials go?
Aluminum is the stuff I work with. The galls. I don't know.
Keep copper.
You know, I think
Probably.
I think brass will do the same thing.
I think it would. It's soft. Yeah. Get either the softer metals.
Now, in that instance where you everything in the engine is new, is it all reusable, or are you getting new bolts, getting?
Nope. Well, you don't have to take apart the rods, so rod bolts, so they're fine. Depends on the bearings, but otherwise, yeah, everything's fine. This is the bearings, some hardware. Okay, I was waiting for everybody to get caught up. Everybody got caught up?
Yes.
Does that count as a story? I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to tell Marty.
You gotta say story time first. Yeah, you have to average at least 6 a night. The rest is good.
Thread direction. This is going to come as a shock to most of you. Almost all threads are right-hand threads.
The right hand?
So what you kept saying about the safety wire?
Right-hand threads. All right, just so we get this, everybody raise your right hand as high as you can make it. Now raise it a little bit higher. Well, why didn't you? I asked you the first time to raise it as high as you could. Why did you go higher than that?
Again.
Well, I should ask you to do it again and see. Everybody raise your right hand. You just raise it up a little bit. I don't care. Just give me a little something. I just want to make sure everybody knows they're right from their left. Some guys are undecided. Okay, the right-hand threads. That is righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Right? I should probably have a video and show you. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
Have Tom
So,
make one.
what's that?
Have Tom make one.
It would take like 4 hours.
All right. Only reason why I know you guys are learning because I keep getting safety wire where it's going backwards. So, all right, left-hand threads. Left-hand threads are usually marked in some way. That would be either like a hash mark. Hash mark or stamped with an L. What do I mean by hash mark? It's not a little, like if this were left-hand thread here, oops. There we go. What it would have is right here, it would look like somebody actually took a hacksaw and just cut a notch out of each one of those. So that's what I mean. So if you see something like that, that indicates left-hand thread.
They just put a notch in it? Is that what you mean?
Yep, a little notch. For example, acetylene, right? Who's my welders in here?
Oh, you're talking about
Acetylene tanks, acetylene fittings on acetylene. They are left-hand threads so that you don't confuse them with the oxygen side of things. All right, let's talk about pipe thread. Can I move this? Everybody got it?
Nope.
Nope. All right. What were you doing?
I was dying laughing.
You didn't die. You're still here.
Well, I about died.
Okay. Either die or right.
All right, now we just have dead airspace. People listen. People on YouTube, I'm losing viewers. I'm not getting likes.
Yeah, this is your one view.
You lost Tom?
Actually, Christian's here, so that's one of the. As many
I'm
people
here
are
too.
missing tonight.
Live streaming this too?
Oh, you mean that?
Oh, MJ's not here. We can say hi to MJ. He's probably listening.
Hopefully you're not dying,
The shape he
MJ.
was in, he's probably snoring right now.
Shut up, man. All right.
7 is
That was me
not
last
on
week.
here either.
What's
He was
that?
trying to figure out
Kevin.
what he was
Oh, yeah.
Not here either.
Kevin's not here. All right. Let's see. Pipe threads. Okay, this is pretty much just covering what we already talked about. So pipe threads. Pipe threads. How about if I write slower and nicer than you could do it? Pipe threads are what? What? Tapered. Right on. Tapered to give an air or fluid tight fit. I already told you. What are all of those blue fittings made out of?
Aluminum.
Aluminum. So you should never screw aluminum and aluminum together because it will gall. And I said, how much Teflon tape should we use?
0.
Never. So what do you use?
Pipe belt.
Huh? JV Weld. Yes, it won't leak at all. I had tubes of Teflon paste.
Is that just soft set?
Is that on the outside?
I don't know. What do you that stuff you use? That was pretty cool. It's
Soft set?
soft set. Yeah, that's not an aircraft thing. But I was pretty impressed with
It
it.
is a well industry thing though.
Yeah, he used when he hooked up the Zyglo tank, brought in some stuff and hooked it up, and it was pretty sweet. And
It's like a anti-seize, but it also expands. It'll like harden up a little bit, but it also makes it so you can break it back apart if you need to.
all right, as they screw together, they get tight. Well, that goes with anything. Why am I saying that? Maybe I didn't need to say that. The fitting gets really tight.
Tighter.
Tighter? Okay. But remember, it's taper going into taper, so the more you screw it in, the more it's going to expand out the female end of it. Also, okay, so let's take for example, we have this, and it's right-hand thread, and we're screwing this into something, and we have a problem. It's not going in very well. You know, it's burred up. It's you can tell that the female part is got some boogers and nastiness on the threads. What are you going to do? What? Clean it. With what? Toothbrush? Mouthwash. I'm saying that the threads have some damage to them.
Can't heal it.
The tap?
Okay? Exactly. So we can retap it. What's the danger of tapping?
You're gonna mess it up.
Shaving water.
Well, the problem is with tapping, the tap is very tapered. So the more you go in with that tap, the further this piece right here has to go in before it's going to seal. And if you were to take your boss and tap too far, before you know it, you're bottoming out this shoulder against the part and the threads haven't tightened up yet. Then what do you do? Get a new one. They actually make helicoil inserts for pipe. So at that point, you probably have to helicoil it. But be careful with that. Okay. Tighter. Let me see. Pipe sizing is not intuitive. Pipe sizing is not intuitive. Means you can't really measure it well.
Yeah, did you buy the wrong part at the store?
Me?
Yeah, when you went to get it for that tank.
I sure did. But I didn't have it with me. I was just trying. Oh yeah, I measured it and went. Yeah, it was off by an eighth.
You're all, what size do you think this is?
It was big though. It was an 8-inch and a. So see that chart that I showed you where it has those little pictures. So as an example, a 1/4 inch pipe plug is a little over 1/2 inch. I think so. 1/2 inch outside diameter. So it's like, well, that didn't help. Let's see. Never screw pipe into non-pipe fittings.
Is it an OD next to the one?
Yep, OD. Never screw pipe into non-pipe fittings. And also, the wrench size is not the
Bolt
bolt size.
Most of those flare fittings, that'd be like fuel use, wouldn't it?
Fuel, hydraulic. Yep, that's exactly what they are.
So is there a difference between the flared and hydraulic and JIC fittings?
JIC.
Okay, never mind.
See, I repeated what you said. That's how you know I don't know. Works every time.
Walk away.
Walk away.
Walk out.
What is it you're trying to do?
Well, in hydraulics, they have what is called a JIC fitting, and it looks exactly the same as that. So I don't know.
Like on tractors?
Yeah.
What does JIC stand for?
Just in case.
that I couldn't tell you, but
I went to school with that guy. All right, three types of taps. We had three types, which you should already know. They are the
A-type.
National course, national.
no, the actual tools. Taper, taper. Okay, that had what, seven? Seven tapered.
Threads.
Mm-hmm.
The other one at 4 and the other one at 1.
And I will say for starting threads or threads in thin metal. For starting threads. Or threads in thin metal. We have, what was next? Plug, which had, I believe, four tapered threads. I'm going memory. Four tapered threads. This one is used after a taper cut to cut threads near the bottom of a hole. So used after a tapered, after a taper tap to cut threads near the bottom of a hole. Assuming that that's a blind hole. So again, a blind hole would be something where the hole goes down like that, has threads, but the part is much thicker. So these are the threads cut in. So that's a blind hole. Does not go through. And last one was
Bottom.
the bottoming tap. Bottoming tap. 1.5, right? 1.5 tapered threads. One and a half tapered threads. So I'm running out of room there. 1.5 tapered threads, and used to cut holes at the bottom. Used to cut threads. Threads nearly to the bottom of a hole. Bottom of a, I'll say blind hole. All right, method. So I've got to put a hole somewhere. So what? Where? Well, if you're the renters that just moved in out of the house, everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And they only owned one drill bit. It was about that size, I think.
Really?
No, I'm making that up. How far can I scroll up here? Huh? Too far? Kill me, man. All right, so method. Well, I'm going to change screens anyway. So if you want to tap something, the first thing you need to do is drill an appropriate sized hole. How do you find the appropriate sized hole?
James's chart.
Chart for that.
There's a chart for that. You guys keep writing notes.
Good deal.
There we go. There's a chart for that, and I've enlarged it over here. So I want to, here we go. Thankfully I wrote this so I know what I want to do. I want a quarter 28 tap. So I come over here, quarter 28. Let's see, where's my quarter 28? Eighth, 3/16, quarter 28 right here, quarter 28. I've enlarged it over here. Quarter 28 tap requires a number 3 drill. Why do I have that? Oh, this must have moved. Oh, sorry. What's that? There we go. Quarter 28 has a number 3. So you can see it right here. So here's my quarter 28. And it's coming over here. It says drill size right up there, drill size. And I come over and I have a number 3 drill. If I want 5/16, 18, here's a quiz. What drill am I going to use? Well, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could do this all day. At what point do I get to F?
Where we're at right now. So
Where does F fall in the number line?
It doesn't.
2, 5, 7,
Well, where, okay, in the alphabet, where does 3 come in?
Number 2.
Okay, so we have a problem here. How can I go from a number 3 to a number F?
It just does.
Huh?
It just does.
It just is.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows how. I would say a proper drill bit or a complete drill bit set, thank you is the word I actually wanted to use there, would have numbers, letters, and fractions. So like the one I have in my toolbox, you open up the lid and it's got numbers all the way across the back. Number 1 through, I don't know, maybe 50 or something like that. Which one's the biggest? Number 1's the biggest and the 50's the smallest. All right, then on the left side, I would open up and I would have numbers. A through
Numbers? A through G.
letters. I'm thinking algebraically there. So I have the letters A through, I don't know, whatever it has, Z or something. Triple Z, which is really small. And then on the other side, I would have fractions. Yes.
So I noticed on that one it goes 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yep.
So if you go where to go up, it would be 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to
Yep.
wherever. And
I
then
see
if
10,
you're
11, 12, 13, all the way up to here to 80. So
going- And then G would go all the way down.
A, B, C, there's Z. But okay, then you can say Z. Well, then I must start fractions. But you notice fractions are intermingled all throughout there. So it's 7, then 13/64, then 6. 3, 7/32, 2. A, 15/64 is B. See? So it's intermingled in there. But why did they do that?
No, what's the best with aviation? If you were to buy just one of the,
Oh, I don't. I have the whole thing.
you know, all of them,
Well, because I want a quarter 28. What bit do I need?
there's none that matches up better than others.
Nope. Well, if I had to only buy one thing, I'd buy numbered.
Okay,
Because I know I need a number 41, 30, and a 21.
got it.
And guess which one are missing out of mine?
21.
All right. So that is what James was hoping you would do. So now you have to, because I told you about this. So when you walk up and he says, "All right, super mechanic," and you say, "I need a quarter 28," he's going to say, "What size drill bit do you need then?" You're going to say, "I need a 3." Okay. Can you see that? Okay. What if you're going to do a quarter 20? What size drill bit do you need?
7.
All right. Need a number 7. What about 5/16, 18?
And F.
An F. All right. If you missed that one, I can't help you. All right.
It's not a 15/64 F, is it? Or
No, it is not. It is an F.
Okay.
This is right here. So up here it says tap size, which is right here. So this is tap size. Tap size. This is the decimal equivalent to the drill bit, and that is the drill size. Follow? Okay. This does not count for helicoil. That's something different. So this is your basic.
Unicoil has its own chart, correct?
What?
Unicoil has its own chart.
Has his own chart.
So Kevin, dumb question.
Okay.
If you import a plane, like a European plane,
Well, this is going to be it. No. Import a plane and
and do you need to get a different drill bit set and like everything for metric?
oh, you're talking about metric.
For metric, yeah.
Well, you can see right here metric. Tap drill size is 1.25, so these are going to correspond to.
If it's a little bit off, is that okay?
In my world, never.
That's what I mean. Like,
Is it? I just say no.
oh, you don't have craft.
Yeah. So,
So what do you do?
You go buy the correct drill.
yeah,
You go back to your,
get the right one. All right. Okay. Method. Let me see method. So one. Use the tap chart. Use a tap chart to determine the correct size hole. The correct size hole to drill. All right, so you can use the tap chart and figure out what size hole to drill. I think that's, I'm going to end this.